Welcome to Look Up Aurora. My name is Julie, and I work for the Aurora Public Library.
And I'm Michael. I'm an aerospace engineer.
So today we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about Jupiter. But to start off with, we thought that we would show you guys what the sky looks like tonight in Aurora. So if you guys look here, you can see this is what the sky looks like tonight. We have the date on here just in case you guys are watching after the first viewing of this. And this is from skyandtelescope.org, so you can go there anytime to kind of see exactly what the night sky is looking like. So Aurora is a big city. We just happen to use the 80015 zip code where we're at.
It's all pretty similar. The important pieces to look at are our moon is in the northeast, and Jupiter and Saturn are following in the southwest to the west, and they will rise and chase each other, and then it will eventually set. But you can see both of them. They're really, really great. You can see Mars too. Mars will actually look orange, and it won't blink because planets typically don't blink.
So the first thing we're going to talk about today is we're going to give you guys some background about Galileo. So Galileo is the first person to construct a telescope and then use it to look up at the sky. So he's not the first person. He did not invent the telescope, but he's the first person to take it, and instead of using it to look on ships, he pointed it upward to the stars. And he was able to use it to really look up to the sky and to start discovering things about our galaxy and about our universe. And he's the one who discovered that Venus has phases to it just like our moon does, and that Jupiter has moons, but those moons do not revolve around Jupiter the way our moon revolves around the Earth. But most importantly, Galileo proved that the Earth is not the center of the universe, and that the planets in our solar system revolve around the sun, but the planets and everything do not revolve around us. Only our moon revolves around us, the Earth.
Galileo, we named a space probe after him. It went to Jupiter. It is kind of in the middle of our Jupiter exploration. It orbited Jupiter 34 times. The mission lasted for 14 years and it ended in 2003. The missions to the outer planets take a really long time to get there, and so we tend to let them go on their missions for a really, really long time, just to get as much science out of them as we can. It orbited Jupiter and all of its major moons, and it discovered liquid water under the icy surface of Europa. So we named the space probe Galileo because the four major moons of Jupiter are named the Galilean moons. They were discovered by Galileo because they're like the four moons that he can actually see in his telescope. Jupiter has a lot of other moons, but these are big, and you can see them with some binoculars or even a low-power telescope, or even a telescope made 400 years ago. They helped Galileo prove that we are not the center of the universe, and that even Jupiter is not the center of its own universe, and that everything revolves around everything else.
A lot of these moons are actually used in a lot of science fiction books and movies as well. Europa is mentioned in one of my favorite science fiction books, which is Armada, which I really like.
The most recent Jupiter mission is Juno. It was launched in 2011. It got to Jupiter about 2016, and they have planned to deorbit it about 2021. I would expect that to last longer. They tend to make the missions shorter, and if things keep working, they'll extend it, and they'll extend it. And it's going to improve our understanding of Jupiter. One really cool thing about Juno is that it's got this thing called the vault, where all the electronics are, because Juno gets really, really close to Jupiter, and Jupiter is very, very radioactive. And so it'll destroy all the electronics that are outside the vault, and so they have all the really cool, very needed things inside the vault.
The name of the probe, Juno, comes from Roman mythology. I thought it was really cool. A lot of the missions that NASA use kind of different types of mythology names. Both Juno and Jupiter are from Roman mythology. NASA uses both Roman and Greek mythology for a lot of their different naming structures. So if you look out at the sky, you'll notice that a lot of the planets are named after Roman gods, but a lot of the moons are named after Greek gods, which I think is really cool. And in addition to that, a lot of our manned missions are named after Greek gods, such as Apollo and Artemis. And of course, Apollo is the mission that landed man on the moon, and Artemis is going to be the mission that lands women on the moon. So the story of Juno is actually pretty cool. So Juno was a Roman god who was rather mischievous, and he would use the clouds to kind of wrap around himself and hide, you know, when he was being rather mischievous. And Jupiter's wife, Juno, was able to peer through the clouds to kind of reveal Jupiter's true nature and all of his mischievous deeds. And that's exactly what the space probe Juno is going to do, is it's going to go down below the clouds and figure out the true nature of Jupiter. And we're going to learn so much from it. So I thought that was a really, really ingenious name that NASA came up with there, using the Juno and Jupiter names for the probe and then the planet.
Another cool one is that Apollo's sister is Artemis.
Yes.
And so those NASA folks are pretty clever.
They are. They're very clever.
So Voyager was our first trip to Jupiter. It was our first trip to any of the outer planets, and it was they went on what was called the Grand Tour. And so we launched Voyager 1 on September of 1977, and we launched Voyager 2 just 12 days afterwards, which was quite a feat. Voyager 1 entered interstellar space, so it left the solar system in 2012. And it left the Voyager 2 left the heliosphere in 2018. Both crafts are still sending us information. They've actually had to debug a few problems recently, and it takes a long time to fix these things because you'll send a command and then it may take, I think it's like a day for that information to come back. We will lose contact with Voyager for a little while they do some maintenance on some of the large satellites that we use to contact these really deep space probes.
The picture you see here is actually from NASA. They made a couple of really cool posters a couple years ago, kind of advertising a lot of their missions and planets and some things like that. And you can download all of those for free. And Voyager is also mentioned in a lot of science fiction. Voyager, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard that from Star Trek. So.
Well, in the Voyager Star Trek series.
Exactly, Voyager Star Trek series.
Voyager 1 has traveled 13.8 million miles, and put it in perspective, its distance from the sun is 13.9 million miles, so it's gone like 14 million miles. That's unfathomable for me. Voyager 2 has gone a little bit shorter, 11.4 million miles, and so they've seen a lot of space. So I grew up with some of these pictures in books of early Jupiter, and I did not realize how lucky I was to see these, because I thought, oh, we just know what the planets look like. Well, these were just starting to come in, and we were just starting to look at these. And so that was really cool. I did not realize it was such a big deal. Voyager 1 went to Jupiter in March of 1979, and Voyager 2 went in July of 1979. They took almost 19,000 pictures. And to think about this is 1975 technology sending us pictures back from like thousands and millions of miles away.
Farther than any human's been.
You know, every time you take a picture with your digital camera, like they had those in the 70s. This was just amazing. It discovered the first active volcanoes. This is the first time we've seen active geology, which was really exciting.
Outside of Earth. The first time we've really seen volcanoes outside of Earth.
Yes.
Which is really cool. There are tons of free stargazing apps that you can get. A lot of these are also on the web for free. And so the one that we use a lot is SkyMap, that's put on by Google. Again, that's just a preference, not an endorsement, so definitely poke around, find the one that you think is most user-friendly for you.
One of the cool things about most of these apps is that they'll work with your compass, and so you can hold them up to the sky, and it'll show you what you're looking at in the sky. So if you're like, oh, what's that? You can look it up and go, oh, look, that's Mars, and Mars should be orange.
And if you want to learn more, of course, you know, NASA has a ton of stuff on their website. It's all for free. It is all public domain. All of the pictures are for free. All of their stuff, all of their material on there is for free. Denver also has an astronomical society, and you can go to their website to learn more. And there are tons of astronomy clubs here, right here in Colorado, that you can check out for free as well. And if you just kind of want some general information about astronomy, more in depth than what we're giving you in our little tiny snippets here, go to the Crash Course Astronomy link. They have some amazing videos on there that I feel like they really take some complex ideas and really put them in words that I know I can understand. I'm not an aerospace engineer, and I really enjoyed learning a lot of the things.
We hope you've had a good time, and remember, keep looking up, Aurora.